Okay, Perek Chof, Pasuk Aleph. Vayevo b'nei Yisrael kol ha'edo. The Bnei Yisrael came, the complete congregation. Midbar Tzin, b'chodesh harishon. Midbar Tzin in the first month. Vayeshev o b'kodesh. And the whenever the Torah uses the word always means when we're at a failing level. Means the people. The people, they settled in Kodesh. Miriam passed away there, and she was buried there. So here Rashi explains, what does it say, Kol Eidah? It makes a point, the complete congregation. This is the congregation, the full congregation that is worthy to go into Eretz Yisrael. Those between 20 and 40, 60 already passed away. So this is already the new generation. Miriam passes away, and she's buried there. So Rashi makes it a point, Vatamisha Miriam, Afi bin Nishika, Meso. Miriam also passed away bin Nishika. Nishika means it's the kiss of death. What does the kiss of death mean? By Moshe and Aaron, it says Al Pi Hashem. Later, we're going to see when Aaron passes away, Moshe very much wants that as Aaron passed away, he should pass away the same way. What does that mean? Every person dies, he dies through the angel of death. Takes the person's soul. Nishika means God himself comes and takes the person's soul. It's like God's level of association draws out the soul, and the soul happily goes with Hashem. When the angel of death comes, it's a different level of representation. Miriam also, as Moshe passed away, Al Pi Hashem, which is Nishika, which is the ultimate level of departing from the body, the spiritual transition from the body to that ultimate. Identically, Moshe passed away the same way. So what does it say by Miriam Al Pi Hashem? Miriam was at that special level. She'enu derech kavod shel malo. Because it's not appropriate to say it openly, Hashem kissed the woman. Ba'aron nemer Al Pi Hashem be'elu maseh. When the Torah speaks about the passing of Aaron, but it actually says Miriam also passed away the same way through Nishika. We're not going to. Now, we know the Gemara tells us in Tainus, we had 3 gifts in the Midbar, in the desert. We had the gift of the mun, and the mun was the most special. For 40 years, we had the spiritual food which sustained us, any conceivable taste and nutrition, whatever we came to mind, it took on that form, and we were sustained. The Jews did not have bodily functions due to that ingestion, because it's spiritual food. There was no waste, it was pure. And then we had the clouds of glory, Danei Kavod. The Gemara tells us, it's a real midrash, Lo nidna Torah el ochli haman. The Torah was given to those who ate the man. Meaning that the person needed a spiritualization. The Gemara tells us in Yuma that the man is referred to as lechem abirim, the bread of abirim, the bread of the powerful ones. Now, an angel, how is he sustained? Everything needs a level of sustenance. So the Gemara tells us an angel is sustained through Ziv HaShechina. The radiance of God sustains the angel. It's purely on the spiritual level. The Gemara tells, we studied in Brachos, it says that tzaddikim, when they're in Gan Eden, in the soul world, and ultimately after resurrections, those who are worthy to be in that new creation, it's that tzaddikim omdim, the kisrei b'rashayim, it's Gemara in Brachos, and the crowns on their heads, the nenin miziv hashchina, and they are benefiting from the radiance of the Shekhinah, of the divine presence. That's the ultimate level. The angels also are sustained through the Ziva Shechina. The man, the Ramban explains, was Ziva Shechina, except God brought it into physical form. This wafer-like cracker, which when you were ingested, would take on that form and value of any food item that you would think, except certain food items, which the Torah tells us not, because it would be detrimental to a nursing mother, would take on that value. But basically, it was really the same. It was the ultimate level of connection, sustenance. Therefore, the nitra Torah el ochle aman. The Torah was given to those who ingested the man because that was the ultimate level of spiritualization. And due to that, we were able to study Torah and to come upon certain understandings only because we spiritualized to that degree. We explained that when we finished the Shemon Esrei, there is a supplication. We were asked Hashem to speedily build the Beis Hamikdash. And what do we ask immediately? And when the Beis Hamikdash will be rebuilt, you should give us our portion of the Torah. The reason why our portion, every Jew at Sinai was given a specific portion. Unfortunately, we're not able to withdraw that portion which was designated for us. Why? Because we're not sufficiently spiritualized. We have many blockages and handicaps that we're not able to take advantage of that. But when the Beis Hamikdash will be rebuilt and all the evil will be purged from existence, all those blockages will not be there, then it's a Seichel Keim Seresecha. Because we're at that level of connection to the Shekhinah, therefore, we will have the capacity to take our rightful portion in the Torah. It goes hand in hand. Lo nitra Torah el ochle aman. The Torah is given to those who ate the man because that level of spiritualization allowed us to maximize on the Torah that was given to us at Sinai. So the Gemara says, the man was b'schus Moshe Rabbeinu. Because of Moshe's merit, the Jews merited to have the man. Now, what about the clouds of glory? The clouds of glory, what we call Anei HaKavod, protected us from any physical harm, and also we maintained our physicality. As it says in the Torah, our feet did not swell. Our clothing didn't have to be washed. The clothing never wore out, and the clothing, as it says in Chazal, the way a rodent, its hide grows on its body as it grows, identically, as the child grew from infant to child, adolescent, adult, the clothing grew on the person. The person never needed a change of garments. That was a miracle. There was no such thing as an incline, an elevation. The snakes, the serpents, briars, you couldn't have nothing to be concerned about. You insulated in this spiritual cocoon, which addressed every level of what physicality. That was b'schus Aaron. That was the merit of Aaron. The bear, the wellspring that traveled with us for 40 years, which provided enough water for Klal Yisrael and all the flocks and herds, that was b'schus Miriam. That was the merit of Miriam. What happens with Miriam? So if the wellspring is merit of Miriam, and Miriam passes away, what happens? The water ceases to be. And the Torah tells us in the Chodesh Rishon, when they come to Kodesh, V'tomisha Miriam. Miriam passes away, and she's buried there. V'lo hoya mayim lo eido. And as a result of that, there's no longer water. Because the one who provided the merit, that person is no longer there, so the wellspring ceases. And immediately, what happens? The Jews, they get panicky. And they come with a complaint against Moshe. Did you take us into the desert to die? What's with us? What's with our flocks, with our animals? We're all going to die. We're going to perish. So Rashi says, why when Miriam passed away, why was there not Mayim lo Eido? Mikach kol aboim shono hayu lehem haber b'schus Miriam. Quotes more in Tainus. So that confirmed which they were unaware of, that the bear, this wellspring that traveled with them for 40 years, was in the merit of Miriam. So when Miriam is no longer here, it ceases to be. So the Gemara tells us, when Hashem said to Moshe to speak to the rock and the water came back, Moshe failed. He struck the rock. In whose merit did it come back? So the Gemara says it came back in the schus of Moshe. The water was reinstated in the schus of Moshe Rabbeinu. So after Miriam passed away, we had the mun in the merit of Moshe, and we had the bear, we had the living wellspring in the merit of Moshe. What happens when Aaron passes away? We read later, the clouds of glory dispersed. We no longer have the protection of the Anei Kavod. And then we're immediately attacked by Melech Harod, the king of Canaan. And again, it's reinstated. So what happens? So at the end of the day, after Miriam passes away, after Aaron passes away, we still have the mun, we have the clouds of glory, and we have everything. All three things are in place. All three are in the schus of Moshe Rabbeinu. At the end of the day, before Moshe passes away, everything is the merit of Moshe Rabbeinu. What happens when Moshe Rabbeinu passes away? Everything ceases. Everything stops. So because the Gemara asks a question, it says that the three shepherds, Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam, they all passed away during the same month. So the Gemara asks, it's not possible. Miriam passes away b'chodesh Rishon, Aaron passes away in Nav, and Moshe passes away in Adar. So how could the Pasuk say in Novi, in prophets, that the three Roim, the three shepherds, passed away during the same month? So more answers. When it says they passed away, it doesn't mean physically they died then. What it means, the Jews only felt the loss only after Moshe passed away. You know, a person has a moment of pain and you address it immediately. It's a fleeting moment. It didn't even impact on you. There's no recollection or no effect of that pain because it's addressed immediately. It's relieved. Moshe, the Jews were relieved immediately. We had water reinstated immediately. We had the clouds of glory reinstated immediately. But when Moshe passed away, everything ceased. So they only felt the loss and appreciated the loss of all three of them when Moshe passed away. So it doesn't mean physically they died during the same month. But initially, each one was the merit of each one. Except because Moshe covered, they didn't really fully internalize the value of Miriam and the value of Aaron. They didn't fully appreciate that level of loss. When Moshe passed away, then they appreciated the value of the loss of all three of them. So that's what the pasuk means. They passed away. It's the equivalent of passing away during the same month.
Rabbi, the Al-Sheikh says in the commentary in Art Scroll that the people cried when Aaron passed away and when Moshe passed away, and they did not cry when Miriam passed away.
Correct.
The water stopping was a like a sign to them, like a punishment.
It wasn't a punishment.
Right.
It wasn't a punishment. It was to alert them. It was really out of honor for Miriam that they should appreciate Miriam's value. The reason they didn't even eulogize her. They buried her and they didn't even eulogize her. Could you imagine? Miriam, after they split the sea, Hashem splits the sea and the sea closed on the Egyptians. It says Moshe led the men in song and Miriam led the women in song. That's what it says. Miriam, when she became a leper, it says the Shechina, the Anei HaKavod, and the Shishim Ribo did not travel for 7 days out of honor for Miriam. Could you imagine? So Hashem is saying she's a hero. She's a heroine. I mean, how do you not eulogize a woman like this? We're not talking about an ordinary woman. Not only she's Moshe and Aaron's sister, she herself led the women in song. They said, well, somebody had to lead the women. Well, she's the most special woman. But, you know, she doesn't rate enough. Among women, she rates. She doesn't rate. But she rates even among men. She surpasses even the men. But they didn't appreciate that. And that's why they didn't eulogize her. She doesn't deserve that state funeral, so to say, lahavdil. But when the water ceased, then she understood she's not a woman who just leads women in song. She's not a woman who just is special among women. She's even special among men because in her merit, you had the water. Without water, you die. It was to communicate. So really, out of honor for Miriam, that's the reason why they were denied the water. But still, it didn't fully resonate in them until finally Moshe passed away, because only then when they had nothing, only then did it really resonate and they could internalize the loss of all three of them. That's the Gemara.
I have a simple question. We've talked about in the past about names of people, and it's important, the meaning of a name. Yet the name Miriam is not a nice name. It means bitter water, right? Or, I mean, Amra.
No, not bitter water, not bitter water. It says, "Vayimoru chayeihem ba'avoda kosher." They embittered our lives with very heavy work,
Okay.
bondage. It was the most serious time of bondage started when Miriam was born. And that's the reason why her parents named her Miriam.
Okay, I understand. But
Okay.
but it does not connote happiness or good things. So, but yeah, we do name people. We do name girls Miriam. That's one. And the second question was, how come we don't call, like we call Beis Yaakov girl? Why don't they name Yeshivot after Miriam? She was the most special woman. I'm just curious why.
Let's first question first. Like it says, if that the first question asked, evidently that's the most important question. That's bothering you most, then yes, the second one. So we're going to show you why the first question. It says if it means bitter, why do parents name their daughters Miriam? Can I ask you a question? Miriam was one of the three shepherds of the Jewish people. So why did her parents name her Miriam? If it's not an appropriate name, don't name your daughter Miriam. Amram and Yocheved should name the daughter Miriam. Okay. So evidently, it had great value to identify her as Miriam. That's a special name. So if it was special for Amram and Yocheved, evidently every Jewish family, parent, if they have a daughter, Miriam is a special name. Okay, let's explain why it's special. And it's like, Alan painted himself into a corner here. If you remember, we mentioned the name of the Chassam Sof in the Vilna Gaon. What is the cantillation on Vayimoru Chayeihem?
Kadma v'Azlo.
Kadma v'Azlo. So Kadma v'Azlo is a joyous note. I mean, here we're being pained at a level which is excruciating, and it's ecstasy. The note is like ecstasy. So the Chassam Sofer writes, we were meant to be there 400 years. Because of the intensification of the shibur, of the bondage, that foretold the Gula is around the corner. So if that's the case, Miriam represents Gula. We're leaving. That's the only reason why it intensified. And according to the Vilna Gaon, what is the meaning of the words Kadma v'Azla in Aramaic? Earlier, you're going. That is the meaning of the word Kadma, Kodem. Azla in Aramaic is you will be holech. You're leaving earlier. That's the meaning of that note, that cantillation. In addition, the Vilna Gaon says the numerical value of Kadma v'Azla is 190. Right. So 190, 400 is 210. So instead of being there 400 years and to go into spiritual extinction, you're leaving earlier, so you should be able to be at Sinai. So Miriam foretells the upcoming Sinai to be chosen as to be taken as God's people.
Rabbi, what specific word is Kadma, the trop under which word?
The trop on Vayimoru Chayeihem is Kadma v'Azla.
Vayimaru Chayeihem.
Vayimoru es Chayeihem. Vayimoru es Chayeihem.
That's amazing. Rabbi, when did the month start?
Yeshivot, Rabbi, the question about Yeshivot?
The question on Yeshiva, what should they name it? Beis Miriam.
Maybe. I'm just asking.
Again, I mean, a woman, if you have a choice, Beis Yaakov. Why don't you ask a better question? Why Miriam? Why not Beis Yaakov? Women, right? Beis Yaakov. Because the Torah says when Moshe was told to communicate the Torah to the Jews, it says you should communicate to Bnei Yisrael and you should communicate to Beis Yaakov. So the women, the level of communication, how they should be taught the Torah and understand the Masorah, the tradition, it's Beis Yaakov. The men are called Bnei Yisrael. That's the reason.
Audrey went to a school called Beis Rivka.
Who went? I didn't know what you said.
Audrey
Beis
went
Rivka.
to a school,
Chabad.
Beis
That's
Rivka.
Chabad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.